All right, everybody look this way. Smile.
Welcome aboard the Isle Royale Queen 4. The depths of the water we traverse over range from 600 to 1,000 feet. At 10:30 this morning, 18 miles from the island, we pass over 1,000 feet of water, and the surface temperature of Lake Superior in the middle of the lake is still very cold, 34 degrees. Here we go. Let's have a great trip.
The fruiting body creates the spores. That's what you see here. The majority of the fungus is actually underground. It's called mycelium.
The kids see something and they naturally are curious about it. And so it gives you a chance where you could talk about lichens in a classroom, but the kids get out there and experience it. Now they're asking the questions. Well, if they're asking the questions, it's going to be much more meaningful to them to learn because it's something they're interested in and it's something that they can see and they can touch.
I think I come on these trips because it helps me with nutrition and it helps me lose some of my weight.
I never done this with my family before, and this is like opportunity I have, and I really want to take advantage of it.
I don't get out much, away from Ypsilanti much.
This is my first backpacking trip. Anything I might be nervous about is the bugs. Yes, especially the bugs, because they're like swarming me right now.
Day 2 from 3 Mile to Daisy Farm was very challenging for students that have never really been out backpacking. And on the way up to Mount Franklin, you get to a point where you're out of the forest and then crossing across the ridge with no protection and the sun beating down on you. We had one of our backpackers had to stop off because she was an asthmatic and she needed her inhaler and she was starting to have panic attacks because it is very, very difficult hiking. One of the real cool moments was when we got up to Mount Franklin and to look at the kids as they see the view and then to see them take off their backpacks and just sit and relax on the rocks overlooking, and it was really kind of a neat experience to watch their reaction to the whole thing. When we got to Daisy Farm, we were all very, very hot, and Daisy Farm happens to have a dock, and at the end of the dock it is deep enough to actually jump off. So we all, arm in arm, hand in hand, we all jumped off together, and it was really a spectacular end to a very, very tough hike. Getting together as a group really made it a meaningful experience for everybody, and I think that's probably one of those things, because it was such a tough hike, that everybody will remember a long time after this has happened. I do this and I spend the time and the energy and the money to change their lives and to challenge them to do things they don't think are possible, to change their perspective on the world, to give them a chance to see things and experience things they've never seen or experienced before, and show them that there is a world that's much bigger than the world within which they live daily. Today we are heading inland a little bit. It will be a little bit uphill the first bit. Once we're up on a kind of a little bit of a plateau, we'll head across, and then it's
3.9 miles to Mosky Basin. We'll set up camp at Mosky Basin and we'll be there for 2 days.
Being out in nature and being out on these trips gives just a plethora of experiences that become teachable moments that you just can't get within a classroom. You might talk about dew in a classroom and how dew forms, but you get out there and all of a sudden your tent, it didn't rain and your tent's soaking wet, and it gives you that opportunity to have those discussions in a real life setting that are much more meaningful than in a classroom. The foods that we bring are very deliberate. We try and make sure that the students realize and learn how they're eating and the things that they're eating and why they're good for them and why, after 2 days of detoxing their body, why they feel so good, why they have energy, even though they've spent more energy working and hiking than they've probably spent in any single day in their entire life. And that is a challenge for them to not have sugar, not have pop, not have processed foods. Getting them to think about what they're putting into their body is one of the challenges that they face, but it's also something I think that they realize that, wow, I feel good working hard. So we had gotten up and it was kind of a recoup day. A day to get up a little bit later, then have a leisurely hike out to a day hike destination. Some of the learning goals of the trip is to teach them about the interaction between the plants and the animals, to talk to them and teach them about lichens and about the mosses and about the flowers and about the animals and reptiles that are there. And there are so many opportunities you get in field to teach them about those things. One of the discussions with the kids was about choosing to live deliberately and to not just let life go by, not just let this experience go past you without deliberately noticing things. And we had been talking with the students all along about it's not just about the destination, it's about enjoying the journey. One of the cool things was to see the growth of the kids just in hiking. The first hike we did, they weren't paying attention. They were loud, they were noisy. And after we talked about, hey, it's about the journey, they started hiking differently. By the time we got to the last hike, the conversations that I did hear during the hike were basically conversations about what they were seeing. Most of them had never really had an opportunity when they could sit back and deliberately notice all of the things that are around them without the noises from civilization. When you're taking students who admittedly are sedentary, learning how to deal with the pain that comes when you first start working muscles, and the realization that we are all in this together and that we all need to get through this together, it kind of proves that as a team we can accomplish many things greater than what we ever could by ourselves. Everybody was so exhausted that within 5 minutes, almost before we departed, some of the kids were asleep. I think that's a kind of a testament to how hard they worked during the trip.